Hello everybody, this is GamePro24X, and today I'm going to be showing you guys a pretty useful technique in Oneechanbara Origins that I strongly believe people should start using in their gameplay and especially in speedruns because it is extremely powerful. Now, the technique in question I don't believe has an official name. If it does, I will update everything with the proper naming convention, but I'm going to dub it air dancing because to me that's what it kind of looks like. You remain suspended in air while you infinitely slash at whatever you're attacking. Now, why would you do this technique? Well, it's very similar akin to Devil May Cry's jump canceling, where you essentially do the same thing. You jump up in the air, you attack, jump cancel, and then you attack, and you just keep on doing that. And what that effectively does is that it keeps you off the ground so that normal mobs can't hit you while you are doing the maximum amount of damage in the shortest amount of time possible. Now I'm going to show off some gameplay of me doing this on different occasions, on different bosses and whatnot, while I explain how the rest of this works. Now, unlike jump canceling, this technique is actually fairly simple to do because all it requires you to do is just switch your weapons mid-cool combo attack and you can just keep chaining this infinitely. Now, I will go into more in-depth detail about this little tidbit in my boss analysis video, but there is something interesting about doing damage when it comes to this game. There are certain attacks that will end up netting you a lot less damage, even though you output a lot of hits, the game will only reward you with a little bit of damage. And this technique here is kind of the exception to that. But essentially, the longer your cool combo goes, the more damage you slowly start to do towards the boss. Now, if you were just doing the normal combo where it just finishes, you'll just stop and then you'll have to restart it again and build up that damage all over again. However, since we are, in a sense, canceling and continuing to chain the cool combo infinitely, we will attain the maximum amount of damage possible whilst continually attacking, which is why this technique is so powerful to begin with, and why certain boss battles become very trivial when you start utilizing it more. And not to mention, this actually stuns the boss, believe it or not, and occasionally you will end up lifting a boss off the ground, thus doing even more damage while they're in a stunned state. So, again, it's just a very powerful technique for bosses and even certain normal zombie mobs as well. Alright, so let's go over the fundamentals of how this ability works to begin with. So, if you were to just do a normal air combo, it would start up and then finish with either weapon as you see here. But what we're going to do is we're going to interrupt that and keep chaining it infinitely. Now, of course, if you do a short hop, you will be able to stay in the air even though you're practically almost touching the ground, meaning that you'll be able to reach many mobs that are on the ground no problem while you continuously do this air dance. And if you haven't watched my Berserker video, this is how I quickly attain Berserk status because it's all dependent on how many hits you land on the enemies rather than other factors. And yes, this is a glitch that I didn't know existed until I did some testing today. So, like I said before, it's extremely easy to do this, especially with Aya. All you have to do is attack 4 times, and then switch your weapon on the 4th attack. It will take some practice to get used to, but you will get it in no time. But typically what I like to do is I sometimes like to do that multi-hit attack with the dual swords, and then switch to the other sword, do 4 hits, and then switch back and keep doing that. That way you can rack up a very high hit count. Now, I actually have a controller input on the bottom right. That way you can see how I'm exactly doing this with the controller. And again, you just really just keep continuously tapping X and you just switch your weapon every 4th attack. It's really simple to do, really easy. The only thing you need to get used to is timing your short hops in order to do maximum damage based on how high the enemy is. This technique can also be utilized with Saki. However, she has much less potential because of the way how her remaining combos end. And you can still do this. It's definitely doable with Saki if you just do 4 attacks and then switch. After that, you really can't do anything else. With Aya, you could land a lot more hits a lot quickly and a lot easier than Saki. So essentially, once you have gotten it down, definitely try using it on Saki to see how it feels. Now, unfortunately, with Rei, the technique is not really viable at all. And that mainly has to deal with the fact that when you switch to her gun, it's just very, like, different. And not to mention, if you no longer have your guns charged, well, it just drastically changes how it works, and it just really does not work in your favor. Ray mostly plays off of the idea of you have to keep her guns charged at all times to do maximum damage. This will end up just draining your gun, and you really don't get a better trade-off over that. So yeah, I would say avoid doing this with Ray unless something is discovered later on and it turns out it is really good. Then I will definitely make an update about that. But for now, it just really does not seem worthwhile to use it on Ray. And that's really all there is to it. There's really not a whole lot to go into when it comes to this technique. It's not very difficult to do, but it is very useful, very powerful, and if you use it in the right circumstances, it could definitely speed up your kill times when it comes to either bosses or certain segments in the game. So that about covers the air dancing technique. And definitely try to master this technique, because in my next video, I will be talking about how to earn money in this game, at least a lot of money, really quick. And it heavily relies on the use of this technique. So definitely start practicing it, because it will pay out in the next video. And before we go, I want to quickly thank my patrons, the Identity Glitch and Watch TV 45. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. This is GamePro 24X, and I will see you guys in the next video.